What is Low Code 3.0? Ryan Cunningham is the Vice President for Power Apps, and he sees low code as not just a tool, but a whole company transformation engine. And he explains how you can get ready for it before your competition does today in PowerCat Live. Welcome to PowerCat Live. My name is Phil Toppness with the PowerCat team, and today we're here with Ryan Cunningham, Vice President for Power Apps. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Phil, it's great to be here. I love the high energy intro.
Thanks for being here again. Today we're not going to talk about the fullness of time, though. We're going to talk about what's coming next for low code. What do you see on the horizon?
Well, look, the fullness of time is right now. I think the world is
we did it
so quickly when it comes to low code. Look, Satya got on stage earlier this year and said Power Apps is now the undisputed market leader for low code platforms. Actually, Gartner confirmed it as well. Just really aggressive adoption, especially in the upper end of the market. We see large customers, more than 100 of them, with more than 10,000 monthly active users on the platform, thousands of apps. But look, the truth is, ultimately, those are still really small numbers, and compared to the universe of people with access to technology and jobs, which is billions, we still have a long way to go. And I think what we're starting to see is organizations really start to shift how they're thinking about this and the context in which they are embracing low code. Because I think that the truth is, you talk to a lot of people in the CIO seat or in the C-level position, and this is a really tough landscape to be driving technology change in right now. We've been talking for years about how everybody's got to transform digitally or be left behind by their competitors. That's just non-optional. But at the same time, you cannot do that at the expense of trust. You cannot move so fast that you compromise the compliance or the security of information, because ending up in the news for the wrong reasons, that's game over as well. And everybody's got to do this against the backdrop of one of the toughest labor markets in a generation, especially for technical talent. And a lot of organizations are really looking at these three factors not as independent challenges, but really as intimately connected and pulling against each other right now.
And so if you're talking to a CIO or an IT leader, what do you tell them to avoid being left behind?
Yeah. Well, look, I think the big message, and I think the big reason for low code right now, is that these factors don't have to be mutually exclusive or a losing proposition. And in fact, low code is the way to tackle all three of these challenges at the same time. And that sounds counterintuitive to some people. People who are afraid of the idea of having thousands of things built by hundreds of people that weren't hired as software engineers, specifically because of the trust dimension here. I think we're really starting to see people actually completely turn that around 180 degrees in their minds and realize that business as usual is a much scarier proposition, specifically from a trust perspective. Pushing everything into the long tail of Excel spreadsheets and one-off point solutions and legacy things perpetuates a lot more risk than encouraging an entire organization to bring all that stuff onto a modern platform that is governable, monitorable, has data loss prevention policies, visibility. It may not be everything your chief information security officer wants at any point in time, but it's a heck of a lot more robust than the status quo. And that doing that in a way that drives faster transformation, involves more people from a talent perspective, is really a win-win-win for a lot of organizations. And that's what's driving a lot of this sort of company-wide acceleration.
So talk a little bit more about how people should view all these Excel and Access and other systems that they've got scattered around the enterprise.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that we've been having a conversation with technical leaders about for a long time at Microsoft is sort of the transition to the cloud for apps and workloads that IT was already managing. We've had this big conversation in technology about lifting and shifting from on-premise up to the cloud. And every time you do that, you got to take inventory of what's being managed in a company and decide, what can I leave behind? What do I need to sunset entirely? And really what is the big middle that's valuable for transformation, for rethinking it as I lift it up. And look, Power Platform is driving a lot of velocity for those things. Here's the catch. The workloads that are already on IT's radar are literally just the tip of the iceberg. They are just a tiny fraction of what people are actually using in all of these organizations. And so if we're going to be real about lifting the trust posture and accelerating transformation, we got to get below the waterline. We have to go look at the tools that everybody in every business is using right now. And to your point, a lot of those tools are spreadsheets, they're legacy systems, they're point solutions, they're one-offs. A lot of this we think about as shadow IT. A lot of this we think about what we would look at historically as low code 1.0. Low code is not new for Microsoft. We shipped Excel 37 years ago or something like that. VBA has been around for a very long time. Access InfoPath, but gosh, it's not just us. It's Lotus Notes. It's everything else that everybody has brought around the table that is really running all of these processes in the long tail. I think the moment we've been in over the last few years of what I've started thinking about as low code 2.0, really big renaissance in the tools available, but not necessarily helping the fragmentation problem. In fact, arguably exacerbating it. You've had so many individual startups, point solutions, large companies acquiring, but they're all focused on their little corner of the world. You've got dozens of players just thinking about RPA, dozens of players just thinking about apps, dozens of players just thinking about websites, and all the way down the list. That it's made people go faster, but it hasn't necessarily brought that level of trust acceleration and coherency across the org. And that really brings us to what we've started talking about low code 3.0. Nothing to do with Bitcoin and crypto. Let's not be confused with other types of web.
It's trendy in its own way.
It's so hot right now. But no, this is really about rationalizing all that fragmentation and saying, look, it is now possible to start doing this on a single platform, on a standard platform, across that spectrum of sophistication and across the spectrum of what people need to build. And if we can, as an organization, really start to standardize and build skills on one set of tools as opposed to 1,000 sets of tools, that's where we really start to tackle those 3 T's: the transformation, the trust, and the talent all at once. When I start to bring everybody from my professionals and my flagship workloads all the way down to you and me and a business team working with 5 people onto one set of tools, all of a sudden, huge network effects across an organization, and not the least of which is that visibility. Sitting from a central perspective, when everything is sort of swiped with my AAD badge at the front door, logged in a cloud-facing system, automatable, reportable, auditable, etc. Just incredible amount of visibility that didn't exist before over that same set of complex stuff. That one platform also then creates transferability. It means that somebody can start simple, but then build up in sophistication. And with that visibility as a central team, I can see where those use cases are taking off. I can see where an app goes from 5 users to 50 and actually come help, not just police it.
Right.
And then it creates transferability the other direction. I can take people that are already technically, engaged and developers in the team, and not only have them go faster because they're working on low code, but actually have them create components and building blocks that a wider audience of people can use as well, and really start to uplift the velocity of the whole organization, not just the velocity of their own project. And so it's really getting those 3 dimensions to work that is driving this kind of 3.0 mindset and standardization for low code. And we really think that's going to define the next several years of adoption.
And this iceberg-sized transformation, it's a lot to take on. What are kind of a few trends that you see that are kind of leading the way for organizations that are succeeding?
Yeah, I think one of them is sort of, first of all, just thinking about it this way, and really thinking about the low code not in a use case by use case fashion, but really in a whole company perspective. And I think the Microsoft Cloud is really uniquely set up to do that for customers. Whereas a lot of players in the space right now are focused on one really niche part of the picture. This is really the only game in town that is deeply integrated into something that hundreds of millions of people are using every day for their basic productivity work, and backed by a planet scale developer cloud and set of tools that does have sort of a no limits amount of upside when it comes to sophistication. And so if you think about what we're doing here in Power Platform and really the trends that customers are embracing Power Platform for, it's not just one service of Power Apps or Power Automate. It's not just one workload to apply it to. It's really this whole picture. It's the fact that I can start to standardize across the company, get this in front of every information worker, but really back it by best-in-class governance, great developer scale. It's really possible to start to achieve that low-code breadth. And that's, again, sort of really what's inspiring a lot of the exponential growth we're seeing for Power Platform, but it's also really shaping how we think about our roadmap and where we invest next.
So if I am new to low code, or if I'm an IT leader, what should I be doing now to get ready for this wave?
Well, this is the time. If you listen to Gartner, they'll say of all the technologies on the landscape right now, low code is right in the center of the bullseye for something to figure out a plan for now, and that will have business impact right now. And so certainly we're biased about Power Platform, but really, this is about making a plan not just for how to tinker with low code or how to evaluate different vendors and options. It is really about how am I going to roll this out to the entire organization? Low code is a trend that's happening whether people are embracing it or not. How do I get ahead of it and start to think about this bigger picture of enabling existing developers, enabling the mix of developers and business experts in a Fusion team, and enabling the long tail of people that are currently turning to this fragmented and shadowy space? How do I really get to that level of scale at what it takes to really establish and accelerate a center of excellence, a community of practitioners in the company sort of collaborating and helping each other do this? Now is the time to make that plan and get linked up with other people like you that are on that same journey. The whole industry is figuring this out right now, and it's a really exciting time to be on the forefront of what it means, not just industry wide, but really in each individual organization out there. So I guess the biggest piece of advice I would have to everybody out there, particularly sitting in an IT role, is don't be afraid of low code. This is potentially a huge accelerator against all three of those challenging dimensions right now, and embracing it, having a plan for it, and thinking about it at whole organization scale is really the best way to go drive a lot of value over the next several years.
Ryan, thanks for talking about Low Code 3.0. It is definitely an exciting time to be in this industry.
Awesome. Thank you for the chance, Phil, and I look forward to keeping talking with y'all.
See you next time. Thanks.